Hello and welcome to Facebook Live from Page Spring. Well, every year we have Page Society and Institute for Public Relations sponsor the case study competition for in corporate communications. And we have students from across the country as well as various other countries in the world submit cases that examine corporate communications, the practice of corporate communications in a business issue or a crisis. This year we had 105 entries from 36 communications and business schools, and the award winners, the Jack Coden Page Principles Case Study Award winners, are Stephen Pelham and Brooke Smith from Brigham Young University. And their advisor is also with us, but he's off camera, Dr. Christopher Wilson. Well, we have Stephen and Brooke here to tell us a little bit more about their winning case, which goes by the title, Responding While the Record Button is Always On, Flying High and Low with United Airlines Corporate Culture and Stakeholder Empowerment. So, while that is a mouthful, let's ask these people, so how do you feel about winning the award?
It's a pretty surreal feeling because we spent so much time just like working on this and like imagining what if we possibly won, and our school has never won this before, so we're very surprised and excited.
So you all are the pioneers. Amazing.
Extremely honored.
So how many hours do you spend on the case?
It's hard to put a number on it, but
when did you guys start working on this?
So we started thinking of ideas for which case we would do because we knew we needed to look at something that had significance beyond just the case, but that would have a greater impact. And so we actually, the summer before classes, so last summer we created a spreadsheet of all the different cases in PR that were interesting, and we started gathering data on like 20 cases. So I guess you could say like the summer before class started is when we started.
All right, that's a long time. And what made you guys come down to the particular case, the United Airlines case that you guys wrote about?
Yeah, the thing with the United incident is that everyone knew about it. You know, throughout this entire project as we were working on everything, anyone that we talked to, they knew about it and they were very passionate about it. This was a very highly emotional, highly visible incident, and it has ramifications not only within the airline industry, but through other industries as well.
Okay, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, there are also just so many different parts to this case. It touches on so many things that are significant with public relations, as Stephen was talking about, and we just both felt that the greater implications that we could learn from this case were significant enough that we wanted to study it deeper.
So, what were the few things about PR or communications that you guys actually looked into through this case?
Yeah, definitely. So we, as you said, kind of in our title, we looked specifically at stakeholder empowerment and corporate culture. And through United, it was really interesting that it became very apparent that there were some corporate culture issues. United Airlines is a massive organization, but it's a lot more than just United itself. There's the airports that it operates with, there's security agencies, there's so many other partners in government and regulatory agencies that United works with. And so ensuring that the same culture and the same vision and process is conveyed throughout can be really difficult, and we found that this was just a really complex process, and in this particular incident it was like a perfect storm of everything gone wrong, and so it was a case ripe for the harvesting and analyzing, so it was great.
Okay.
Another thing it touched on was stakeholder empowerment. This really the video of Dr. David Dow being dragged off the plane went viral, and so all of a sudden the stakeholders were holding United hostage and were calling the shots and telling everyone how their brand should be perceived. And we live in a day and age where we trust each other more than we trust companies. And so they really did hold a lot of power, and that was a really interesting and modern aspect to this case.
Okay. Given that this award that you guys won is called Jack Coden Page Principles Case Study Award, so do you guys know all the Page Principles?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to recite them
Thank
now.
you.
But I'm going to ask you how what was the process like? Like, thinking through the PAGE principles, putting the objectives of those principles into your case, and actually, cutting through the case and understanding how these principles matter or why do they matter. What are your thoughts on that? How did that work out?
Yeah, so as we were collaborating back and forth and working with different mentors, it became apparent that we really wanted to look at the United case through the lens of each of the PAGE principles. We wanted to have a final word where we're like, did United follow this PAGE principle, yes or no? And so that's one thing that we did, and we analyzed that. And for the most part, most principles, we saw a mix of yes and no things that United Airlines did. However, there were two principles in particular that we felt that United did not do very well. That was communicating and working with stakeholders, and then the other component of that is planning for tomorrow. United has had a long track record of incident after incident. United breaks guitars, leggings gates, now Dr. David Dow, and then more incidents even recent. Since we finished our case.
Yeah.
So we've seen that United they did well in some things, but definitely not. And so the PAGE principles really served as a core foundation as we went through and did this entire project.
I would even say one of the deciding factors for us choosing this cases over other cases was we found something in each of the PAGE principles that facts from the case could highlight.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. So, how did Dr. Wilson get into this, and how did he help you, structure your case?
Dr. Wilson was great. So we went up to Dr. Wilson because he teaches a public relations course in our graduate program, and it wasn't going to be offered in our time in our graduate program. So we came up to him and we said, we want to take a readings course from you. We want it to basically be this class because we don't want to miss out on it.
Okay.
And he said, okay, I'll do it, but you guys have to submit a competitive entry for the case study competition if we do it.
He said, and I quote, we have to win. And we won, so
We did.
go Dr. Wilson.
Amazing.
Yeah.
My last question before we end this session is, how did it help you? Like, how was working on the case helpful to you in, how did it benefit you? What were the benefits that you saw in actually writing a case right from scratch? Because that's not something, that's something that grad school students do, but it's not something that you often do. So how did it benefit you when you were working on the case?
Yeah, for me, it was really interesting because communications doesn't function just in a silo. It's part of a larger business, and you have to understand that business and how communications fits in with that. And being able to go through and do this case, one thing that we introduced this year that we felt really brought a lot of value to this case was doing some primary data analysis through some social media analysis and monitoring, in addition to a plethora of other secondary research sources. But being able to do all of that research and look at how that affects communications, but ultimately how that affects the bottom line, how that affects the greater business, it really has helped us to grow as communicators and as professionals and as students, to be able to understand and really dissect each of these things. Because Brooke and I, we have big ambitions, moving forward in life. Here at the PAGE conference, we're looking up to some heroes here, some incredible people.
Absolutely.
And we feel it's, at least for me, it's really been able to help us to grow and to learn just a ton.
Yeah, I would say too, it's really interesting because when you first start looking at a case, you think, okay, there's this huge problem, why wasn't it avoided? But the more facts you find out, especially when we got our hands dirty and got to do like the primary data analysis from what Steve was talking about, is you see really how complex an issue is, and you get to see sort of like almost stepping into the shoes of a CCO,
Right.
because you get to see the problem from all the different shareholders and stakeholders' point of view and how it was handled or how it was mishandled. And so that was really valuable because you almost get the opportunity to act as a CCO just like in an analytical sort of an aspect. And like Stephen said, we both have big ambitions and we want to definitely continue studying this kind of a thing. So That was
That's
very
amazing.
insightful.
That's amazing, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to go on and do better things. I mean, this is just a stepping stone.
Very
Thank
kind.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me today and doing this small little session, which I guess is now going to be a little bit of practice for when you sit on stage at Paid Spring. And thank you guys for joining us. Please like our Facebook page because we'll be coming with a few more Facebook Live videos from Paid Spring. And don't forget to also tune in tomorrow because Paid Spring is continuing tomorrow as well. Thank you.